via Zoom, but it is not, people are not interacting on Zoom, but it's being recorded that way because we're in. Do we have to turn these on or off, or do they do themselves? Yes, I have to turn them on?
Turn it on, yeah.
Okay, and do I have to turn mine off when somebody else speaks, or?
We can have 8 microphones running at one time.
Super. So folks, turn on your microphones in front of you. Well, there must be some,
Right.
and Emily, maybe there's a button there that turns yours on.
It's on.
Those on, okay. We're all, okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Jean King. Most of you know me. I'm the chair of the Watertown Historic District Commission. And I am calling to order this meeting of the Watertown Historic District Commission. I would ask each of our members to introduce themselves.
Can't mess with it.
There it is.
Leave it alone.
Oh, thank you. And could you start?
Rick Sarandria.
Robert McCarthy.
Jean King.
Ronald Main.
Nancy Kinsella.
Okay. Nancy and Rick are alternate members of the commission, but they will be voting members tonight. That's, thank you, I forgot to bring that. I will read the legal notice of the hearing. The Town of Watertown Historic District Commission, Watertown, Connecticut, will hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 4th, 2021 at the Town Council Chambers, Watertown Town Hall, 61 Echo Lake Road, Watertown, Connecticut, at 7 p.m. for consideration of the following application for a certificate of appropriateness. Application number 106 from Emily Slattery, Glory Days LLC for 211 Woodbury Road for construction of a new front door, an ADA ramp to the new door, an ADA ramp to the side door, and a sign. At this hearing, interested persons and written communications will be heard. Copies of the application and pertinent materials are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office, dated in Watertown, Connecticut, the 25th day of October, 2021. This meeting will be an in-person meeting. Jean King, Chair, Watertown Historic District Commission. We do not have any written correspondence on this. We will discuss the application with Emily, and then we will open our discussion to questions from the people who are here who would like to participate in the meeting. For those of you who have not been at one of our meetings before, this is a public hearing on this proposal. Depending on how things move forward, we will make a decision about continuing or closing the public hearing. And then following immediately after that, we will have our meeting, and we may or may not take action on this application tonight. If you have comments to make, you should make them during the public hearing process that we're having here rather than waiting till we have our meeting. Emily, why don't you tell us what you want to do, and then we have questions. We have architectural drawings up here, and at some point people want to come up and see them, you are welcome to do that.
Okay. So the application includes the 2 handicap ramps, and then one requires a new door being put in. It's an entrance that's not there right now. So the door would just match the existing front door. It's just a plain wooden door on the house right now. There's 2 ramps because there's 2 uses, and they have to be divided. They have to both be accessible. So it's pretty straightforward. I didn't really bring anything else other than what was submitted because they're just required by the code for ADA accessibility. So you could start with your questions maybe, and then I can explain.
So my first question is, you are required to have 2 ramps because when this was discussed earlier at the other meeting about this, originally you had talked about a ramp in the rear.
Yes, that was my original plan, and then as things evolved with the architect and the code consultant, there's 2 uses, the day center and the assisted living, and per building and fire code and everything, they have to be separated by firewall, 1-hour barrier. So before, I thought the day center would be on the downstairs, but then to make a barrier, you have to divide it along the whole floor of the house, and that was very extensive. So the simpler way was to divide it left side versus right side. And that's why we have to add the door and the ramp to the left side when you're looking at the house.
So the new door that, if we're looking at the house head-on,
Yes,
there will be a door on, the regular door that's there will stay.
yes.
The new door will look just like the one that's there and be made of the same materials? Is it a wooden door? Is it a,
I have to clarify, it has to be, I don't know if it has to be a fire barrier door, but it'll look the same. It's just a plain 6-panel door that's there right now.
and it takes out the window that's on the far left of the building that has,
Not the far, do you want me to come and point? Not the far, far left, because that is a different room, but,
so there are 3 windows on the left-hand side, and you're taking out the middle one?
yes.
No, exactly.
Okay.
So it's where there is an existing window.
Do you have the picture that was up here?
No.
Well, yeah, I have the picture from the book, that's why I'm asking that.
Big window on the right?
We're talking about when you're looking at the building head-on the left-hand side,
On the left.
there are 3 windows.
Sorry, do you have?
I'd appreciate it if you don't speak up in the middle of this, because it's hard to keep a record of who's saying what.
Do you want me to come and point?
Yes, that would be great, and then we will indicate it, and then everybody else will ask. You did send that picture, and I'm in my piles.
It would be this one. So here it's this one, and then the house keeps going here.
So there's 3, this one, this one, this one, so it's the middle window.
This one.
Okay, and then there's another window over there. The window on the far left is more like a bay window, it's
Right,
bigger.
It's a wider window.
So, I'm
Okay,
sorry, so,
so
This is a standard,
it's the center window,
it's that one.
and that becomes a door?
That
yes.
becomes a door.
And then does the driveway change direction or something here, or what?
No, the ramp is gonna come out and turn towards the driveway.
Okay, and that's one ramp, and then the second ramp is?
This is the middle window, there's
Second ramp
one,
is
On
back
the-
this is
here.
the front.
There's another picture on another page of that
Is there a
one.
picture?
Yes, yes, or this one is the front ramp, go to the, no,
No?
back up, middle one. Middle page. If you drive up the driveway,
So this is like, in this picture,
So sorry, this is ramp 1 and this is ramp 2?
yes.
yes.
Okay.
So this big stairway is the big window, and this is behind, this is way back here where you.
Is that window still there?
Yes,
And that window's coming out?
No, no.
Oh, that window's
it's
staying out.
behind
It's
that
in-
window.
Okay.
So that large window on the driveway side stays.
Oh,
And
yes.
and inside, is there like a circular staircase or
Yes.
something that's visible? Okay.
So the ramp is farther set back in the house. I do have a picture of like a bird's eye view.
Questions from my commission here?
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, for the ramp in the front, the front yard has a grade in it and dips down towards the road. So are you gonna put in a retaining wall to level that out? Because if you're
No.
talking about elderly people getting out of cars in inclement weather, ice, this, that, and the other thing, if the driveway is on an angle,
No, that's why it's coming out to where it is, because that's where the ground is more level. But we will bring up the grade a little bit just to reduce the amount of ramp that you see. So the ramp won't have to be as high up off the ground.
will or will not?
We will bring up the grade a little bit.
So the
Which
ramp
will
won't be as high because you're raising the grade of the ground?
Yes, so it will reduce the height of the ramp.
Right.
And what will the ramp be constructed of?
Concrete.
Concrete.
Okay, well, I mean, we've seen them made out of brick. or
Right.
things
I
like
don't
that.
think the wood look would match that house. You know, like a wood porch on that house is not,
Not durable enough either.
No, I wasn't thinking of wood, I was just thinking of different things, whether it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
concrete or whether it was a brick or some kind of other kind of tiles or things like that.
Is there a railing with the ramp as well?
yes.
And what's the railing look like?
So there's a picture, it's just a very minimal top bar and bottom bar.
Is there any way to make, and I'm sorry, I had that picture here on the table, and
Did you give it? I didn't see it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I did notice that the railing is particularly industrial looking. I mean, it's very
This.
basic.
Is the railing?
Very basic.
Yeah.
Which I was looking at the ones with the spindles thinking that it's a nicer look, but they actually stand out more when I was driving around. Just those couple of bars
May not even
is
notice
not
it.
as much in your face,
may not even
especially if it was white in front of the White House. I don't think it would stand out very much.
So you're thinking of making the railing white?
That was one option. I know you guys might have an opinion on color. The house has black railings for the front steps.
Yes.
So my initial thought was black, but then I was thinking white would blend with the house better.
And do you intend to do any plantings or anything?
Yes,
along the
definitely,
side?
yeah.
So where would the plantings be?
In front of the ramp and actually probably behind it too, since it sticks out so much from the house.
Does it need to stick out that far from the house?
It does, yeah.
That's because of the slope? In other words, because of the
slope,
slope?
and if we tried to run it close to the front of the house, then you have
Won't
to
have
have a
a
lot
turn.
more turns, which adds a lot more
You
length,
won't have the turn.
because each turn is a 5x5 and you can't, that
Right.
doesn't bring it down any. So,
Has to be a 5x5 radius.
so trying to run it along the house wasn't long enough, we'd have to add a lot more turns.
But it's only an L shape.
That is there, but if it were going, so, but if, for instance, you made the railing something that looked like the railing on the front steps, it might look nicer to the whole design of the house, rather than having it disappear. I don't know how other people feel about that.
There was my initial thought, that kind of railing is not ADA approved, so then I'd have to add more railings on the inside for that you can run your hand along. And it's more like 20,000 for the railing just for that one ramp versus a third of that maybe for the simple railing. So I did intend to do the wrought iron black railing, but it is pretty long, so that would be a lot of railing you would see.
Well, how long is it? Let's look at it. It's got
34 feet maybe,
Oh, is that
Here,
total
here
or
it
is that
is.
just the one
I think.
horizontal?
I think that's
along
the run, maybe not counting the turn platform.
I don't see a measurement there now. This says 1/4 to 1 foot.
We're for the height of the railing?
No, the width,
Length.
when you're looking at it straight on,
How long is this?
how long is that? I'm looking at the center picture that shows the new front ramp, front elevation.
You have a, do you know how long it's gonna be?
I believe it's 34 feet.
34 feet? Well, one thing is correct, you can't, on a handicap railing, you can't have any obstructions. It has to be a smooth surface, so that your hand can grab it. Even if you put a ramp, a set of stairs or something on a deck, it has to be so that your hand, so, you know, this has been passed, what, about a few years back, that your hand's gotta be able to grip it.
But
Without any
But
obstruction.
you can't, but you're saying you can't make it ornate? I mean, you can't put little curly cues, I'm sorry.
You'd have to, on the inside of that, run a separate railing.
Right.
And then at the end, it does have to extend past because
You have to be able to grab
you
onto
have
it.
to be able to grab onto it.
Okay.
Right.
But you need a railing on inside and outside,
Yes,
so that two hands.
right.
Such as, so this is really what we're talking about for the railing.
Yes,
and 30 feet. So those look like about 6-foot sections.
Probably.
it
Let me
should,
see
it
that.
should say on the architect's
see it?
drawings.
Well, that's what she said, you can do it, but,
It's only wood. It's not 30,000.
Pass it so Rick can see that.
Can I
Rick?
see that? Emily?
yeah, here, you've got the drawings.
Right, she's saying there should be a length on this one.
Yeah,
Here,
well, it
oh,
says,
here, 24 feet, 6 feet.
oh,
Yeah, so it's 30 feet in the front, and then 6, 10, 15,
21.
21 on the, to the house.
okay.
Well, it's right, but the, right, so this is, okay.
Yeah, we did
Yep.
try other designs,
right.
like if it looped back, but then you're ending up downhill and not near the driveway, so this was really the only way we could lay it out.
How much parking are you intended in front of the house?
That's just drop off
Oh, just drop off? So all the parking will be in the back?
in the back, yes.
And is the parking in the back of the house, it's not in the driveway? In other
It's
words,
in the driveway.
okay. So, the second railing is, it doesn't have a turn to it, it just comes from the back of the house up to,
And runs along the side of the house.
now, are you changing the door or anything there, or just putting the railing, the ramp in?
I don't believe I have to change the door. I did get an email from the architect, I think yesterday, and he just wants to verify that it's wide enough. But
Right.
I believe the existing door is wide enough. And that's not an old door or anything antique. That's, I mean, you can't even see it. It's on the side of the house.
No, let's see, the side.
And that's the only place you can put the second ramp to, you can't put the other ramp around to the other side because of the fact that you're dividing the house in
So
two
this one
inside.
comes this way, and it goes into this. what
Right,
does this
there's
say,
really
porch?
nowhere else to
Yep.
put it.
Yep.
That won't be as visible as the one.
No.
It has
No.
to start way out.
But it's still visible from the street,
Yeah,
very
it's
easily
The
visible.
porch ends
Right.
here, this has to start way out, huh?
No,
It
they're
does
bringing
sit
this in
back pretty far from the
Yeah,
road
but I
on the
mean,
side.
this
It,
is the
it does, but
house
you can
here.
see it when you look up the driveway,
Huh?
but it's pretty far
Not
back,
that
I
far.
understand that.
Well,
That one's very low to the ground. That's not going to be as much of,
And they got this little area here too.
It doesn't have
when
an
you're
elevation.
looking at it,
No,
it's going to
you
be
can't see it.
right along the side of the house. It's not going to be sticking out from the house.
No, right, right.
Right now, there's like
here's
plantings
the
there.
porch, yeah, you know, and I've been at that house a lot of times. I know
While
what
we
you're talking
like
about.
plantings, we can't accept plantings as part of the design in some ways, because plantings can go away also. So we like the idea of it, but we can't tell you that that's fine. You put the plantings there and it'll cover up everything.
I know people do usually say they're going to do plantings to hide parking
Right,
and things like that.
Closer to, it looks actually like that is the little part.
Questions?
I mean, that's what I'm asking.
I'm good.
Can I ask any of you, if you have questions, maybe, Emily, why don't you step aside simply because then you don't have to worry about being too close to people. And if any of you want to speak, would you come up here and identify yourselves so that we can know if you want to.
Well, Patricia Norman at 271 Woodbury Road. I'm not understanding when she's saying it, is the front door being changed to put the ramp on it?
No, a second door is going to be,
The front door is going to
Installed.
stay the way it is. And the ramp is not going to go to the front door that's there, because that door goes to like a porch area.
Right.
If you look to the left, on the addition that was added on, the middle window is going to be replaced with a door, which will match the doors that are there, the door that is there. And the ramp will go to that. And you are welcome, any of you
So
are
it's-
welcome to come up and look at
So
these.
that would be a new front, another front door.
Another door, a second door.
So you have two front doors. Let me just explain. This is two front doors you're going to have.
yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Yes,
So the second front door,
So
Are you
this
gonna
is-
have it match
this
with the
is it.
steps and everything, or it's just coming out? The second front door is further over, so the ramp comes all the way out in the front of the house?
Yes.
Yes. The
Why
ramp-
wouldn't the ramp come out in the existing front? I mean, that's changing the entire front of that house. It's not just adding a door.
Okay, so
Well,
the car parks here. The people get out, they go.
Maybe she could come up and look at it. You want to come up and look at the drawing?
No, I understand
leaves.
it,
It's a
because
curve,
I
the
understand
driveway.
what you're saying. It's gonna be a whole nother door there. That
Right.
changes the entire front of that
It
house.
isn't. And
Now,
it
is
creates
the
an odd
ramp,
traffic pattern.
now you have the
So they
front
to
door,
go
you have
back
beautiful
out to
steps coming off that front
Route
door, then you
6,
have the
and then
horseshoe
come
driveway.
back into
You have
the
very
driveway
little,
to go
no
this
grass
way.
really between there,
Yeah,
so
it's
there's
about
not a lot of
curve.
room.
That's-
So to bring
maybe she
out
could
that,
show-
you're making the,
Want to see the
completely,
drawing, then you can.
okay,
Can we, yeah, well,
Yeah,
no.
one
we'll
per-
ask about
one-
what, we can
one
certainly ask
person at a
questions
time.
afterwards, but
And actually,
look at
they
this,
should
and
be
then when you
stating their
speak,
name.
ask your questions, because,
We're not able to hear what they're saying.
can't hear
when
it.
We're all.
right,
Been a chair too long.
over here, you can see it.
Yeah, we got it here. No, you got to turn this around, Rick, so
Like,
she
we
can
move
see
this
it.
over to that table over there and they can look at it.
Why don't you take this over
Okay,
to
now,
that
here's
table
the
over
front
there?
door with the
And you can look
steps.
And then you can look at it, because we have two sets of it here. It's the
The
same
ramp
thing.
is going to go on the left side and like that, and there is a window here. They're going to take the window out and put a door in.
could you have a picture of that house?
There's the picture.
But it's not very good. She
See,
didn't bring a picture.
that window is going to leave. And
It's a free-for-all.
Yeah. By the time you come out here.
Yeah, it
and
comes
go
out
all
a
the
little.
way across, that's the entire front of the house. That
Yeah,
changes the
almost.
entire front of the house.
Right across, the ramp is going to come.
Emily,
And
would
it's
you mind
ru-
stepping?
away from the
Would you
house,
mind
but it-
stepping up again? Yeah.
Yeah, because of the incline has to be
Yes.
away from the
Can we,
house, and then you have the driveway right here, and there's not,
Sorry.
there's not
Can I ask you a
enough
question?
property here to get the incline.
All right, can we stop for a minute so that everybody can hear the questions going back and forth? I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
okay, yeah, no,
All right.
we were just,
I'm still asking that.
One
I know.
person
Okay,
at
I'm
a
sorry.
time.
Don't leave, just,
no, I just want to clarify something, I'm sorry, and it goes to it.
Should be one person at a time.
I think you may have mentioned it, but can you clarify on when you were placing the ramp in the front of the house, was there discussion about putting it closer to the house?
Yes.
More flush to the house? And
Right.
tell me where that went and why it looks like the way it does.
It's probably easier to point on the drawing, but if we ran it along the side of the house, then you have to turn, pivot, come out, then you'd have to turn, pivot, come out this way, and you're ending down by the tree downhill.
No, that's not.
why
what
can't you
we're
put the ramp
suggesting.
sort of starting exactly where the front door to the house is right now?
Well,
And go along beside the house?
And go where?
The
front of the house.
Stick out,
Just,
it would
just,
stick out too far. Plus,
just hug the foundation, really, rather than
but that.
come out, what was it, 8 or 10 feet?
21.
Right, we tried, but like I'm trying to explain, that adds a lot of length because you're adding a lot of turns. You
There's no
can't
more
just
tu-
hug the foundation and
Well,
have
no,
it end where you
there's
need
no
it
more-
to end.
There's no more
You mean
turns
because
than
the
that's on the
house is
plan.
not straight across in the front and the house goes,
Yeah, do you want to look at the architect drawing? You're saying to run it attached, like, right along
Flush.
the house. And
Kinda.
that only gives you maybe 20 feet. And then you got to turn, you got to add 5 feet for a turn, then you
5
got to
by
come
5.
out, then you're,
partly because the house is not, in other words, the left-hand side of the house sticks out further, so you have to go in.
right, you'd
Right.
have to come in, come out, and then you're in the very front of the front house. This, we're kind of to the side of the house. I think putting on the front door is worse. That's changing the front of the house where you have the nice windows and the nice porch and you have the nice steps. I'm putting it to the side of that. But even if we wanted to, we couldn't, because that's a porch, that's not getting it into the room we needed to get it into. And it's high, you've got like 3 or 4 steps there. And then where are you putting it? On top of the driveway? You know, it was the only place we could put it when we talked to the architect, the builder, and the code expert, so.
That right there is probably the correct way of doing it.
Mrs. Norman, have we answered your question?
Sorry, thank you.
I understand what you're,
Answering my question, I still think that changes the entire front of that house.
Well, I'm
which is-
actually leaving the front main part of the house untouched.
No, you're coming in from the front on the left-hand side, you're putting a door in on that side, which even though it may be like different than the right front of the house, it's still the front of the house that faces Woodbury Road. The ramp is facing Woodbury Road.
It is, it's in front and it's
That's the
visible,
front of the
but the
house.
front, you know, primary part of the house with the windows and the door and the antique part, I'm not, you would rather I put it right in front of the,
You're changing the front of the house that faces Woodbury Road with a concrete ramp.
yes, making it ADA accessible.
Right, that's because you bought a house that you have to do that with, and that's changing the entire look of the front house, of the house from Woodbury Road.
Well, it's actually not changing the front of the house, because you're not gonna see
Changing the
this.
look as far as what's on
The
Woodbury
look, but
Road.
you're gonna,
But I
the
thought that's what
sidewalk,
we're
you-
concerned about, is
Right,
the
but-
look of the historic district
Right.
homes.
well, the sidewalk, you're not gonna see. I mean, it's on the ground.
Well, and changing.
Within the
and
context
you're
of the
changing
requirement,
elevation.
but the requirement that the ramp, that there has to be a ramp, and that is,
Right, I understand that,
Yeah.
that's the sorry part, that she bought a house that needs that now, because
Right.
it shouldn't have been that way,
Right.
which
I-
we all said too.
I'm sorry.
So then my question, the sidewalk, the ramp is gonna be level on the ground?
No.
It has to come up,
Comes
Huh?
up
it comes up, yeah.
It's gotta come up a little.
Right.
It's gotta come up,
on the drawings,
Yeah.
The ramp.
here, here.
I think
Yeah, I
about,
see that.
I
Like
think
this.
about
See
2.5
this slope here?
feet.
Oh, I see, yeah, I got you now, yeah.
See, this slope
Only be a 2%
comes up
slope.
like this.
Yeah.
To meet the other, the part that, then it meets, and does it go sort of straight
Right.
up to the house? In other words,
Well, you're still adding incline, it's gotta be
still an incline, but it's still
1 inch
ADA
to 1
compatible.
foot
Right,
range.
yeah.
2%.
So, we were talking about the issue of parking. Someone comes to bring someone to the house, and they leave them off. That person, those persons would be leaving them and not parking in the back, because otherwise, they'd have to go out and go around to go and back, park in the back. Is that correct?
They'd be dropping them off and leaving, right?
Yes.
Right.
But if do different people have to be left off at different places? Because you have 2 ramps for 2 different groups of people.
Technically, yes, but it does give you 2 ways to exit the house for somebody in a wheelchair. So
Yes.
if there was an emergency, you have 2 different exits that are accessible.
Right. Do you anticipate that you would try to simply have, most of the time, people go into one ramp or the other? I mean, as you're managing this?
I think it'll depend on if somebody's gonna be doing a quick drop-off, or if they might need to stay and talk for a little while, then they would wanna park, or what they feel is more convenient for them. If they wanna go in through the back, or go right into the activity room.
So is the ramp in the, which is the ramp in the front and the ramp at the side? Which one is the the daycare center essentially, and which is the residential?
The day center is in the front.
So that's gonna be the front, ramp in the front, and the ramp in the rear is the one that's gonna be theoretically used less frequently, because that's going to be people who are staying, but they're coming on a daily basis.
Right, I mean, staff is gonna be parking in the back, so they would come in, they would walk up the ramp and, you know, use that door. That'll be where most people, I feel like a lot of people will be going in and out in the back, because you're parking back there. But if people wanna, you know, do a quick drop-off and get right to the day center without going through the whole house.
Are you still putting an elevator in the back?
Yes. It's not technically an elevator, but.
A lift?
Yes,
Okay.
right.
So what's the likelihood that somebody wanted to come as a day participant and drive themselves there?
Oh, they can't,
No?
no.
Someone has to bring them?
Yes, if somebody was coming to be cared for all day, they're not driving themselves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Other questions, folks? Yeah. I'm going to ask you to take this back. Would you all sign your names so I know that you're here? So I have a list of who's here. I know that you're here.
I think you're
Sorry.
gonna have to turn that microphone.
Should have them state their
to-
name.
Press the button so the
microphone.
mic goes on.
The second
Press.
one on the left.
Press the button, which button?
Second on the left.
Something.
Second on the left. It's not staying on.
1, 2.
Okay, do you wanna move over to the other microphone?
Yeah. see it's not staying on.
Go to that one.
No sign now.
It just took it a moment.
Okay,
Thank
is it on now?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
thank you.
Chris Atwood, 241 Woodbury Road, a resident almost 14 years, small amount of time compared to the people behind me who have been here their whole lives almost. I have a couple of questions. Is it envisioned that both the seniors, I believe 6 seniors would be living upstairs and up to 12 daytime people would conceivably be handicapped? Or are there only handicapped for the daycare? Or we don't know?
Our purview is not who is going to be there, because our purview is the appropriateness of changes to the house. So
Right.
it's not an appropriate question to ask in terms of what we're deciding this evening.
The reason I'm asking is because there's 2 handicap accessible ramps. Is there a special purpose? The seniors are only going to use one? And-
What I believe she said was that the people who were coming for the day would be using the ramp at the front. People who were day people would primarily be using the new front ramp. And others would, in theory, other people who were living there, who probably might not be going in and out as much, but maybe would be using the ramp that is on the side by the driveway. Am I
Okay.
correct, Emily?
And, sorry, was it ruled out that there could not be a ramp in the back? That both ramps had to be towards the front?
I think her explanation to us was, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in order to meet the code requirements, they had to put the ramps the way they were. That there were not alternatives.
Yes, if you went to the back, you'd be in the middle of the yard, down a hill, it's not accessible for people to get in and out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I think I do agree with Pat that putting a ramp across the front of the house is definitely changing the look of the front of the house. That house has been there since 1922, and it's a shame that this has come to the use of this one. But at this point in time, you know, we're trying to minimize how bad it's going to look on Woodbury Road. We know there's going to be traffic problems. We know it's going to have an effect on our property values. And those of us who came here because we thought there was some protection in the housing, having the historic district, are very disappointed that we don't have much that we can say. There have been hearings. We haven't seen a lot in the paper for planning and zoning. There have been certain deals worked out. We're hearing there's going to be a large sign, which is not appropriate for a residential area. I hope that's not going to help. Happen rather, but yeah, so I guess it is what it is.
we have a proposal under design for a sign, and the sign will meet the town's required sign ordinance, which says that an identification sign must be is not to exceed 6 square feet in area. I think I'm right on that. Okay. And this is a picture of the sign.
And that is the size of a sign in a residential area?
Yes.
So if I wanted to put up a sign in
Yes,
front of
this is
241?
in any residential district, identification sign not to exceed 6 square feet in area is to be allowed.
But let's face it, how many residences have a sign in front of them on a permanent basis?
Our regulations say that we use the town's sign ordinance.
Yeah, I understand. Well,
I can answer part of that question.
Yeah.
It also takes into consideration that home occupations are allowed in residential zones, so I think the allowance gave them some allowance for, you know, attorney at law,
Right.
dentist, you know, whatever, doctor.
Those
are
are the
all
sign-
allowed in residential zones, and you can have a home occupation sign, so that's,
Yeah.
I think, the
It
genesis
is
of
the same
that.
sign ordinance that was in the fire district before the fire district was included into the town's sign
Right,
ordinance.
but this is-
It's not a large sign.
I know,
Can't be.
but it's not a home occupation, it's a business. And it's a slippery slope we're on in the historic district, unfortunately.
You wanna see the
It
sign?
can't be,
I see it, Bob, thank you. That minimizes a little bit of my agita, but, thank you.
Exactly for the size,
Yes,
because it could be, say 6 square feet.
right. So,
Good evening.
hi.
My name's Joe Sheehan. I live at 259 Woodbury Road. I've been there a long time. And I have a couple of questions. The first one is the plans for the front of the house. Have they already been approved by the town?
Mark, have they been approved?
Yeah, they are submitted to the building department, and they are, she's correct, it's pending, pending approval.
The only thing that is under consideration here is the things that would be seen on the front of the house, or seen from the street. And the only things that are proposed are change the door, put a new door in, put the ramp, and put the ramp at the side.
But-
That's it.
It's already been approved by the town?
No,
It hasn't?
no.
Does it have to go through this board first?
We have to approve the appropriateness of anything that can be seen from the street.
All right, my
Within
second-
the requirement that we cannot deny an ADA accessible ramp.
Right. When somebody is being dropped off in the morning, and there's approximately, 10 clients for the day? 10, 12? 12. How long does it take to pull a car in, get out, get a wheelchair out, get them up the ramp, and the next car, and the next car, and the next car is behind it?
I don't know the answer to that.
But it's going to impact at some point.
I
Sir?
don't disagree with you.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, that would be a good question. If you have these concerns, all of you, if you have these concerns, be a good thing to go to planning and zoning.
But they did.
We did.
It's already been approved.
It's all been done
Oh, it's approved, so. Wow.
because of, these questions were all asked at planning and
This is
zoning.
not the commission to ask.
I know, but they asked those questions then.
My last question is, in a matter of good faith, to get along with the neighbors and also to help preserve a historical district, would you be willing to modify your plans to make it more in keeping with the neighborhood? For example, the sign?
Well, I tried to make my sign simple, historic looking, not offensive colors, it's black and white and maroon. So I used the sign design from the Woodbury Historic District signs. So I love historic homes, that's why I love this home.
This is a picture of the sign.
I'm not trying to,
The one thing we don't have on that is the dimensions of the sign,
well, it
And-
would be the 2 by 3,
2 feet by 3 feet. That's the sign.
Thank you.
And where's it going to be?
in the front yard near the road. I don't know how far the setback needs to be.
10
I'll have
feet.
to find out.
10 feet from the property line.
10 feet from the property line in the front and both sides?
It's from the front. From the front property line, 10 feet inward.
There's a flagpole, maybe it would be in front of the flagpole.
So the sign to me looks kind of similar to the Taft signs that they have up in various places. Is that kind of in keeping with what you were trying to
Yes,
get there?
I'm trying to keep it, a subtle look, that's my logo.
It's almost the same shape as the Taft signs too, I think. but-
Well, I like the fact that actually it looks like it's wrought iron, and that leads me back to thinking, even despite the question of the white and the black, that, the black wrought iron coming together with the things that are in one place and having it would look, even though you say a white metal railing might fade into the house, actually, if the black, if they were all the same color, it might look
more consistent.
nicer, I guess is the way I would say it. That's my opinion, I don't know how
I
other
agree,
people.
I agree.
Because otherwise, the white one sort of makes it look like, oh, this is a medical place,
You draw
or this
attention.
is a something like that.
It would draw attention, the white.
Yeah.
Or you think it would draw more attention? I'm open to
The black would
either
be,
color.
Yeah.
the black would be.
Okay. Other people who have something to say, please come. Mr. Norman?
My name's George Norman. I've been in the real estate business probably as long as Rick Sarandria, which is much too long. And my wise-ass remark is, it's like trying, in this particular case, they're trying to put 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack. It's just, this house is not properly designed for all these things that this young lady wants to do. It's going to be too tight an area. The parking lot does not suit this in and out situation at all. You all know that. You've all seen it. We all live on Woodbury Road. The traffic count on there is probably 3,000-4,000 cars a day. The traffic is heavy. Getting in and out of there is virtually impossible. And if Taft has an event going that day, you just can't move around whatsoever. So every time I pick up the Town Times, which is not too often, there's another meeting about this situation. There's no consistency. There's no sense that this thing is basically been well thought of. It's always a revision, another analysis of what you've got. Nothing seems to match well. And frankly, there's no way you can put all this paraphernalia together and make it look okay on that part of Watertown. The house is probably 25, 30 feet from the road. The traffic count is very heavy there during peak times in Watertown. The parking lot is much too small. You've got a small garage, and you have a swimming pool back there. You got 12 people who are handicapped or whatever they may be. It's another issue. Who's going to watch that? If you have children and you have a swimming pool, you know your fear is the greatest of they being out there when you're not watching them. That's a serious situation. However, putting 2 ramps out there is just, it's overkill, it's overdone. It doesn't add any advantage to the town. It doesn't help basically residents who have lived there 50, 60 years. My house was built in 1923. The Lilly house was built in 1920-something, 21, 22. These homes are valuable, well-preserved homes. And every time there's a change in the use of the occupancy of the house, it diminishes the value of the properties. So for someone's gain is our loss. And why should we suffer a loss every time somebody has some crazy idea that they want to make changes to? It's not fair to us, and it basically has an economic disadvantage for us. And there's no need for it. If this party went through this whole process to put this program together, they should have taken in all these considerations in advance, not after the fact, and we shouldn't be coming to meetings every month to try to argue out an issue, because next month it'll be something else. It's not proper, it's not fair, and it's basically a great disadvantage to people that have lived there for 40, 50 years. I mean, what's in it for us? No advantage at all. I realize it's beyond the Watertown local regulations. It's a state regulation. We're stuck with it. And maybe someday I'll be living there. I don't think so, but, you know. But I'm going to be looking for more land to live on. I'll tell you, it's not enough there. It's just not large enough property, and it's not designed well enough. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Getz, 199 Woodbury Road. I am next to the property that was just purchased. I have to agree with my neighbors here that having the ramp in front of the house, I will tell you, is very upsetting. I purchased the house knowing that I was in an area that was not supposed to be making changes, as is going on here. The planning and zoning meeting that we did attend, the front ramp was actually not proposed then. So I just want to make a note on that. That was not proposed in the beginning at all. She noted that she had to make changes due to fire issues. And if I'm not correct, it sounds like the ramp, that there is other options for the ramp, right? It just costs more. Am I wrong with that? That it's just, but there are other options to put it in other places of the house without, I thought it was like the zoning, like upper and lower. You have to have a safety barrier between, and that would be more expensive than dividing the house from left to right. Was,
Well, if you want, you'd have to do the fire barrier along the whole bottom of the floor, but then I'd also have to close in the stairs with fire doors, and that was something I didn't want to do.
but it was feasible, but I mean, it is doable, it's just that it's more expensive, is that
No,
correct?
It takes away more of the character of the house if I had to close in that beautiful stairway with a fire barrier door hallway and close that in. And that was something I did not want to do.
The stairway inside the house?
Yes, you'd have to have the fire barrier before that stair.
Is that visible to the road? Okay.
No.
It's the character.
It wouldn't be within.
That's
The
not
character of the
within-
interior of the house, though,
That's not
right?
within our jurisdiction.
But that's the character inside the house that
Right.
we don't, that's not your issue, right?
It
You
isn't our
personally-
jurisdiction. Certainly, there are people who care about what's inside of houses as well as what's on the outside. But no, we
But what-
don't have anything to say. Our purview is what can be seen from the street.
Correct, and that's
Right.
why I'm saying, like,
Right.
it is feasible that she could make changes. Aesthetically inside, it's not pleasing to what her plan was, right? That's what she's saying, if I'm correct, is that right? That it's just not, it's not the way that you wanted to change the interior of the house.
Yes.
The interior of the house.
Antique
You,
historic home.
you didn't want to change it, but that's actually not part of,
Right.
oh, wow, you know, like,
Well, do we love historic homes? Do we want to maintain them or not?
I honestly don't, I'll be honest with you, I'm not,
We're not debating here.
I don't.
Thank you very much.
But I don't care about what's inside our house, because it's not exposed to the road, is my point, right? So we should have to, that shouldn't be a factor if she doesn't want to change the inside of the house. That's, you know, that's her issue. That's not our issue. Our issue is the exterior of the house. So it is doable. It's just that it's not, you know, I'm sorry that I'm being rude. It's just very upsetting, the whole situation. And yeah, you're going to be my neighbor. I'm going to wave to everybody's coming into your house because I can see, or coming into the daycare, because I can see them from my window, my bedroom window. That's my view now. And as you're extending this even further left, it's even going to be closer. So every day I get to see, and I'm sorry, I mean, I think what you're doing as like a person here helping society and finding means for other people to, you know, seniors and people that are in need that can't be by themselves. Like, I really value what you're doing. But in the same sense, I'm in a residential area, and now I'm going to have how many people so close to me on a daily basis, dropping off people, making a circle, going back to the drive. I mean, it's really very upsetting. And I'm like trying to really contain myself here, because I'm a professional, but it's really upsetting. And what upsets me, even though, like, I'm sorry, you're looking to spend more money if you needed to change the interior of your house, but I don't have to repeat what we've all been talking about since day one when you presented this. It's not a safe place, the slope in the front of the house. I mean, if there's ice, these people are gonna be in my yard. If there's ice on that ramp, it sounds like you're going to be, I want to say, like, what, 30 feet from my house, the ramp, the end of the ramp to the left. I mean, I'm just opening up, you know, kind of trying to share my point of view as far as, I'm sorry that you'd have to make more expensive changes inside the house and that you wouldn't want to change the, the beautiful aesthetics of it, but in the same sense, it's not, it's your business. So that's what I needed to share. Thank you, everybody. I was really happy to see everybody here.
Thank you. Bill? Yes.
In this whole situation, just to say, are we accommodating more so, like, okay, you have to, with the ADA, I understand that you have to do something. If this was still like just a residential home, somebody would be putting in not a permanent ramp if they needed the ADA. They wouldn't be doing a concrete, they would probably be doing, a metal or something like that. They wouldn't be ruining the integrity of the home. In this case, because a business came into a residential historic district home, it all is changed because of her business demands that this ADA comes in. So it's really, and I know it was with planning and zoning, and I understand that even with that, they voted no against it, which we appreciated that vote. But with Franklin Pilacy, went with the state requirements that, that could be done. So we understand that. But it's just, we shouldn't have to be accommodating businesses in the residential historic district.
We have been, I would just say to you, in the past, accommodating to people who've had to put temporary ramps in.
Temporary.
We also approved, and most of you might not be as aware of it, a ramp at the Episcopal Church on the Green, which is, was quite well done.
Well,
and
of
built
course,
into-
that wasn't a residential house. That
No,
wasn't
but what I mean, it was
changing.
an ADA ramp. It was a
Right,
required ramp,
right.
and they designed it to fit into the design of the church there.
Right.
And that did come to us for approval. I just would point that out.
Yeah, well,
That people
that's
have come
totally
to us.
different. I wouldn't be sitting up here talking about a church getting, I know it's not used as a church anymore, getting a ramp. I'm just talking about, this is what happens when a business comes into a residential area. And, we're just trying, all of us on that street, and these are all the neighbors except for maybe two that are here because it's not a big neighborhood. All those houses are kept, well kept.
Yes.
But the houses in town that have gone to businesses, like the Munson House, the Town Hall Annex, what Franklin Pilacy just did to his house, they don't care about the integrity of the town. The Munson House was donated to the town, and they might have to tear it down because it's in such ill repair because a business went into that home. That's a beautiful home.
The Munson House is simply, has been the Board of Education.
Board of
I mean,
Education.
I call that a.
Which is, of course that's a business, it's not a residence. And the Town Hall Annex wasn't a residence. So when these businesses go into these homes, you look at our homes and they're not crumbling. You look at all the ones that businesses have gone into these homes, they're crumbling. That's just one, I would say, as a historic district, maybe should be concerned. Because I don't want to come here to you and ask you that I could put in windows or something like that when this is being allowed all in the historic district. But thank you for when you care. I mean, I know you're under regulations. I know that. I'm sorry.
It's all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Anybody else here?
I'd say one thing. Appreciate you people coming tonight, but your comments were well reserved. But we have to, this thing's supposedly been approved. So this commission really has, we just have to kind of straighten out what's already been approved. And if it didn't get approved, then this woman wouldn't even be here. So, I mean, it's kind of a hard situation for us that all of you came, you came here tonight, but we got to try to make something out of this that, it's tough. It's got, we have regulations you have to follow. So these ramps have to be put in. So our charge is to try to make the best of it, the best of making it look presentable. But actually, maybe planning and zoning at the time, the people on that committee should have maybe took a better look at this before it got, before it got this far. So it's already done.
Planning and zoning
Oh, they did? See, I don't know. I don't know.
And then it was overturned by a suit that was filed in court that says that the state law you are not allowed to disallow senior housing in the same way you can't disallow daycare centers and things like that. It's an
So that makes our job even worse.
opportunity
So that
provision
makes-
of the law.
That makes our job harder.
Yes, it does. And I'm
That's what
sympathetic.
I want you people to know. I mean, it's not, we gotta try to make something out of this.
And I would just say, I am unhappy about the front ramp, because when we were talking about this before, I really thought that the ramp could be in the past, and I take myself into consideration the fact that, you know, you could do something different, which would not make a front ramp required, but that would change a lot of things that are going on in the building.
It would, and I was going to say that even though I initially wasn't told about the front ramp, it might have still come up, even if I divided it the other way, because then it's a second exit. It's a second emergency exit for somebody in a wheelchair. So that might have still come up from the code consultant down the road after review, you know. It's a very complex situation to have the two uses, so
Yes.
a lot has been coming out as they've been working on it. And I will point out that directly across the street is a house with a ramp that you don't even notice because there's plantings in front, and it's blended in very well.
Yes.
It's a Taft. It's a house directly across the street.
And I would point out to you that it is very interesting that the Taft properties themselves, the main campus, are not part of the historic district, which is,
But it's the
maybe
neighborhood
you
that
people
you
may
would
not
be
all know
referring
that, but
to, yeah.
the properties that Taft owns that are housing within our, and we have worked with them on this. Other people?
On these clients that are coming, the 12, just personal, are they all wheelchair bound or some ambulatory? You don't
A
know?
lot are ambulatory
Yeah.
for my current business, but you never know. You
Yeah.
have to be able to
Whoever you accommodate.
accommodate the one that might come in a wheelchair, so.
All right.
No, do you want to speak?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure, Karen.
You know all me. But the fact of the matter is, even though she's not sure about what they would say for the back, if she puts the beam or whatever, I don't really understand inside what the stairs are, but that would then clear up the front. So is it your purview that, I mean, I could be totally wrong, so, no. My understanding is we're responsible as a district for the front, but we're not responsible to save anybody an effort of making phone calls or doing extra work if it has to be done inside, is that correct?
We're responsible for things that can be visible from the street.
Correct. So if there
It could be the front, it could be the side, and any street that you can find.
So if there is an option to do something inside, which will then take away the disturbance in the front.
There
Yes.
isn't. All
It
options have
appears,
been explored.
it appears that's what's being said, yes.
But is that because there hasn't been a phone call to the people, the ADA people, about a back way, a second back way? Or
You
going
can't
out?
do the back way because that's the back of the house in the middle of a yard. That's not making it accessible for people. That drops them off in the middle of the grass, or how do they get to that to get into the house?
Oh, and then can't you make an L? Yeah, you make an L. I've seen L's at other homes that I've seen. You come out of the house and you make an L, and they can come from the driveway, and so it's one
That's
L.
very, very far from the driveway, from the back of that room, directly behind where the front ramp is supposed to go.
I see what you're saying. Mark, do you have anything to add? Have we missed anything in our conversations that you feel the commission should know?
You certainly had a wide-ranging conversation tonight. I'll just point out that the uses as a group home and a daycare center are allowed uses in all residential zones, whether they're in the historic district or not. The Planning and Zoning Commission made a decision made a decision that they quickly realized could be overturned in court and found to be an untenable position. So they realized that, and then reversed their course. But again, I just want to point out anything that's going on in this dwelling is allowed in any residential zone. Likewise, to install, ADA ramps would be a given right for anyone to utilize, whether it's on a temporary or permanent basis. You never know what the nature of an illness is, or how much a ramp may or may not be used in terms of a length of time, and that's a given right for any residential dwelling or person as well. So, the combination of circumstances obviously doesn't fit well with folks, but there's nothing going on here that isn't legal according to any number of regulations of fair housing and fair access regulations.
I don't think anyone's debating that. I think what they're
I know.
debating is the look of the ramp.
Yeah.
Thank you. If we have no further discussion of this, we'll close this hearing. Have a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close the hearing?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will move into carrying out our regular meeting. You are welcome to stay, but, and we do have public participation there, but anyway, we're going to move into our regular meeting right now at 8:01. So, 8:03. I'm calling the regular meeting of the Historic District Commission for November 4th to order at 8:03. Could you give your names again?
Rick Sarandria.
Robert McCarthy.
Jean King.
Ronald Main.
Nancy Kinsella.
I would note that Nancy Kinsella and Rick Sarandria are alternates, but they will be voting tonight. We have a quorum. We are required in issuing any certificate of appropriateness that there be at least 3 positive votes for that. We have no correspondence. If anybody else has anything else they want to add in public participation. We have no old business. So, new business. We would be discussing application 106 for 211 Woodbury Road. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Okay.
Here, hand it to me.
All right, do we have a second? All right.
Is the motion to approve the application as submitted? Is that what the motion
We
was?
can, if you would like to approve, make the motion, or amend the motion to be, to put conditions on the approval, that could certainly be done. Like,
Well, I mean, me moving, you
the
could discuss it now,
having a motion it allows us to discuss
to
it,
discuss.
and we can certainly make changes or recommendations.
Well, I for one think,
All right, we need a second to the motion to approve in order to discuss it.
yeah, but we don't agree to approve it.
You're going to vote on the motion after the discussion.
Okay,
You're not, yeah,
right, so I'll second the motion
Okay.
as submitted, and we'll open it for discussion.
all right. Discussion of the question of approval.
I think before any decision can be made, I mean, we do have the plans sitting here in front of us. I don't know how many of us have actually taken a site walk to really investigate the grade of the front yard and the issue of the depth of the ramp from the house, how that could be possibly altered and brought closer to the house.
You're right, I was gonna make that, but we already closed the public hearing.
That doesn't make any
No.
difference.
Doesn't make it, on this commission, it
This is
doesn't?
our
I was
discussion
gonna
on the
mention that, I mean, I don't know how, you know, I mean, I do zoning board of appeals, we do sidewalks, so.
Right.
We can,
You want me to withdraw my motion?
or we can, table the motion until we have a sidewalk.
Is that legal to do, though? We're closing the public hearing? The public hearing's closed.
But,
Yeah, that
but this is, we
would have
can,
been a decision to make, and I would have said to keep the public hearing open if
Open.
you're going to
Do a sidewalk.
do that, because you can't consider any new information at this point, because you've closed your
is it
public
new
hearing.
information, or is it just confirming,
Could be.
you know? I'm at a loss here.
Well, then it's the motion, we deny the motion, and then it'd have to be a new application. I mean, that.
I'll withdraw my
alternative.
motion. I'll withdraw my motion to approve, but we have to do something.
Are you saying that in order for us to go out and look at this, we have to have a new public hearing?
I don't think you can.
We have on other occasions, I'm sorry that I don't remember which things come, the cart and the horse, which thing comes first. I thought that we could still decide to go out and confirm what we're seeing at a, no?
We've certainly done that before.
We have done it before.
Shouldn't have.
Well, I don't know, it was the last
Woodruff
time,
Avenue, we went down and had a site visit.
but we went to before we had the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
You have to.
I don't know that, that's not in our, I don't know what our regulations say.
Well, if you go out to see the site now at this point, and gather what could be in your minds, anything that's going to be new information, you're leaving yourselves open to appeal by considering that and making your vote.
Well, I mean, I could certainly say some of my issues, and to the extent it affects it, I think I would be looking for some more specifics, and because I appreciate your application is, I mean, it's general in this way, like, you know, you've submitted, for example, on the sign, you submitted the sign, dimensions, I mean, I think you've said it, but, you know, give us that, like, let's have that in the application as to be approved, what the dimensions are you're looking for. When you say in the application that landscaping will be done in front and around ramp, like, tell me what you're planning to do, and because while we can't order landscaping because it's subject to change, we can certainly make it conditional upon, you know, the landscaping as presented in an application, and that would frankly affect my thinking on it, is what the appearance, I'm still not, because right now I'm seeing, you know, the bare appearance of it, and, you know, you said yourself how the Taft property across the street where the ramp kind of blends into the background. Okay, well, what about that blends into the background? It was the plantings, you said, and the way it was structured. So what are you doing here particularly, as opposed to just in a general stated in the application, to achieve that? And so we are going to do these plantings of, you know, in this order, at this location, to achieve that. We're going to minimize the height of the ramp in this area in order to achieve that kind of blending as much as possible. So if I saw some more specificity to get a better feel that you were trying to honor the historic nature of the property and the location and stuff of the house, I would feel better about the application.
You can make that a condition of approval in terms of a
Right.
planting plan,
Right.
Right.
and
We could make several things a condition of approval.
right.
Which is seeing the planting plan, seeing the dimensions of the sign and the location of the sign. I
I
think,
think I'm sorry. the dimensions of the sign is
Right.
is 6
Right,
square
right,
feet. It's
right.
3 by
Yeah,
2,
the
is it
sign-
not?
The sign is really not the issue.
And it's located, it'll be located, I mean, it has to meet zoning codes, it'll be located 10 feet in from the property line, and I think Ms. Slattery indicated that it'd be somewhere in the location of the flagpole. Again, you can make those conditions of approval, and we could, as staff, I could verify those, we could verify those things. That's kind of a common occurrence with I operate from land use agencies, so that's my frame of reference, and that's a fairly common occurrence. You make conditions of approval and leave it up to staff to verify the institution of those details. So if you're looking for a landscaping plan that hides or covers or mitigates the appearance of the railing, you could say that, and we could verify that. If you want to know if you want to know the final details of the sign, you can specify that, and we could verify the sign details. Just going back, I think, I'm sorry to say this, Ms. Chairman, but I think you mentioned something during the hearing that, and I'm kind of new to the historic district myself, that you couldn't, or you didn't consider plantings as part of a mitigation effort, so maybe there was a little miscommunication, and, but again, just to say, if you want to have nonetheless, let me put it that way, if you want a planting plan, we certainly could make that a condition of approval, and we could verify that, for the commission.
We don't approve plantings, but we can.
We don't approve
we can-
plantings.
But the idea here is it's in relation to the I think what you're saying is, in relation to the application, the idea is to minimize the visual effect of it through plantings. And I think that brings it into the purview, because then you're going to make it a conditional based on.
You could also use the public that came here tonight to consider the concerns of the public. Aesthetics, I don't know how to, see, I'm historic, I don't know what I'm, like I said, I'm zoning board of appeals, he's planning and zoning.
It's the appropriateness of how this,
Right.
of how this is going to look in front of this
You could
historic
do that,
building.
and we could do that as part of the motion, and then it would be the charge of the zoning office to enforce it and get back to us. Would you come back to us and say that it's done or it's not done?
Yes, certainly I can verify that for you.
So that's our only way. The problem is just like he said, we approved a few years ago one of these group homes on Buckwheat Hill Road, and it was a big thing too, but the problem is that it's allowed, and it's allowed in residential areas, so you have to do something. That's the thing. So the best thing would be to put conditions on it.
Well, the point, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but the point that was made by one of the people here is we could not approve the ramp in the front
Right.
because there's an alternative, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Though I understand saying that there really isn't a way to put, if you look at the back of that house, it really doesn't work, it doesn't seem to me, for cars pulling up and things like that. So I'm sorry that I did not realize this when we were closing the hearing.
Right. One ramp won't work?
She has
Well,
to have
if
two-
I-
She has to have two,
For the uses, from what I understood, for the two separate uses, there needs to be 2 ramps.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And
right,
there
2
needs
separate
to
uses.
be, and there needs to be 2 means of egress from the property.
which certainly makes sense to me. Whether I like the way they look or not, it's a safety
Yes.
type of thing that there has to be.
Right. And the fire marshal, that's under his jurisdiction, and planning.
Oh, the building and the building
inspector.
official.
Right.
And there is an architect that has designed this, and the architect is specifically designing all of the parameters of this property to meet
The requirement.
building code. So I at this point, I put my trust, so to speak, in the that the architect and the building department and the code person are doing their best to design these so that it meets those standards. And ramps, again, ADA ramps, whether, one agrees with, those are kind of protected uses at this point. So I just don't want you to go, into a field like that planning and zoning did and making a decision that's, indefensible, and then the town attorney comes back and goes, listen, you really can't, we can't sustain that decision.
Well, I would say also that, given the way I thought something was going to be in the front of this building versus what has been presented, I think what has been presented is a better idea than trying to put something in the front of the main part of the building, the right-hand side.
It is.
The original part of the
It is
building.
better.
By putting this over to one side, I think it's better.
It is better.
We're talking about the application without having a motion to talk about it.
Right. And if going back to, if you feel that there are details that you'd like to add to a condition that in your minds softens the look or makes it more acceptable in terms of appropriateness or the look in terms of the house, certainly it's appropriate to add those conditions.
Right.
We talked about landscaping, you talked about the sign. I don't know what else, there might be, but if you have something in your minds, certainly feel free to add those as conditions of approval, and we can verify, I can, as staff, verify them back to you that they've been instituted.
Can I ask a question that has come to mind in other proposals, which is that often one looks at whether what we are allowing to be done is permanent and cannot be taken away at some point. Is not destroying the historic house itself or anything with the house. And in fact, if sometime somebody did not want that house to have a ramp in the front, the ramp could be removed without, and the quality of the house would
That's an
continue.
excellent question.
Because we've said that about other things, and it's something that's often used in discussing
It's something that you
historic
said that, because a few times myself, I mentioned that to people that, you're not gonna live forever, and somebody else is gonna own that house, and they may not want that ramp, but.
and you can take it out.
Right.
Putting that there, the major change to the front of that house is that you're taking a window out and putting a door in.
No.
See, now as I say, we're discussing, I'm looking over to my lawyer to my left there, saying, we're discussing something without a motion.
Right.
But,
Right. So
let's make the appropriate motion, or
And then put the
table
conditions on it.
Or table the motion.
well, the point is that if we table it, we still don't have the ability ourselves to do more investigation. If we really want certain things done, we should write it into the motion and say, this is what we want to have happen. If there are people sitting here who want to deny the motion, to deny the application, then that's a separate kind of thing. But if we're talking about finding a way to make sure that this is the best, not the best, an appropriate use for this house.
Don't
Okay,
say,
let me
no,
get this-
we're not asking whether it's an appropriate use of the
Appropriate use,
house. We're
right.
No,
asking
but-
whether it's an appropriate addition, structure to the house under the historic district.
Right.
But also, yes, there is an architect on this. I do historic design. But it doesn't mean that the architect has considered every single option that cannot be maybe improved upon, basically the location of the ramp. And I think that needs to be looked at again. Or otherwise staked out where he exactly wants it, and then it can be approved that way. But just because it's on a blueprint and a site plan doesn't mean that it's right.
But the problem is, this should have been brought up during the meeting.
We did question the location of it.
Yeah, but what you're saying right now about staking it,
Well, we could, right,
this should have been brought up during the meeting. You should have brought this up while the public hearing was open. Should have brought up the site walk, tell her to stake everything out. We're gonna come out and look at it before the next meeting, and then you could, right now, we are, it's been done, well, I don't wanna say, do we have a recording?
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
recorded, yes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It is what it is. You know, we've not taken any actions.
Yeah, that's about the only thing you can do, but we're gonna be, at some point, gonna be forced to take an action.
Right. And if, in fact, we can agree on some things that we want to have happen based on what we already know here tonight, then we should do that. But if we don't, we can not vote on this. We don't have a choice, okay? We don't have a choice of, we have to either deny or not, don't we, Nancy? Sorry, I never get the hard things done. The commission shall reach a decision and provide the applicant with notice within 65 days of the filing date. So we can not make a decision tonight and to have another meeting to make a decision. But the issue is what information we can confirm that will, in other words, are we going to ask Mark to confirm that the drawings that we have here are in fact,
Too late.
yeah,
Well, finish your sentence, are in fact what? So,
I mean, if, we can not act tonight on this without a motion, but then what do we do next to do what people want to do, if you want to, so that we can then make a decision? And are you saying that we would have to have a new public hearing?
First
Which
off,
is not the end of the world here,
no,
folks.
no, first off, is it like our boards, that you have to get permission from the applicant
No,
to extend it?
no, it's too late, we've
we've already closed it, so.
already closed the
we
hearing.
haven't
Close. Nothing you can do right
But
now.
we cannot, but our requirement is to make a decision within 65 days, so we have time to another meeting. In other words, we don't have to decide tonight within the requirements, but
The
if we-
question, I'm sorry, the question then, right, I think the question then becomes, what exactly,
What
what
other things
exact
do we wanna know?
information are you looking for that causes you to delay an action on the meeting,
Right.
on the application?
And are we saying that, given what we have seen tonight, we would like to see more details of the drawings or details of
Landscaping.
the landscaping and the location before we approve it or disapprove it?
Well, again,
That's-
then there's a
We asked-
risk. The risk is considering what would be considered new information.
New
So
information.
I guess it'd have to be information that just verifies
Location,
the details.
right.
I don't know, that's hard. And then I would say, then why don't you make them conditions? If that's the case and you can't decide, if you can't accept new information,
Right.
why don't you make them
Right.
conditions of approval?
Right.
And then,
And I'm looking
and
to
then
people
vote.
here to say.
So what she's saying, I think she wants to go another meeting, that we could probably all discuss this and come up with an idea for the next meeting, but we have, what, 65 days? So we don't have.
Or 65 days from application.
Oh, from application?
Right.
Well, we don't
So,
have enough time.
And what
Ms.
is
Lottery
that?
could certainly submit to us more information voluntarily. I mean, that's new evidence then, if she submits more or I would say clarification of the application to us? That's new.
I'm just cautioning, if
Yeah, no, I
if you
understand.
want to, table and ask for information, that's your prerogative, but just a caution that, if it trends and it could be considered new, that there's new information, the public hearing is being closed and you run the risk of
Well, it's not
of
really new
operating.
information.
I don't think it is new
It's
information.
clarifying missing information.
Okay,
That's the difference. It's not new information. It's an incomplete application that does not have the specifics of
Well, but,
sign.
I'm not
or
worried about the-
specific
We have
one.
the sign.
but the,
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's just an example of being
Right.
incomplete, because it doesn't have dimensions on the piece of paper.
can't,
But it's not new, it's incomplete.
okay, well, I mean, well, and that's, I guess, the point. If it's limited to just that, you already know the size, but it looks like you're asking for it to be written and made as part of the application,
Specified.
that would not be considered
Yeah.
new
Well,
Well, and you
information.
don't know the size, you know the size is the maximum size allowed by the code. You don't know what size this sign will be.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be.
Well, that's
and I-
fair
and-
enough.
and in terms of the location of the ramp, which I think is a bigger issue, quite frankly, than the sign.
Right.
We have a drawing here. What we don't have is a way for us to actually see with all of those how it actually fits into the, in other words, a detail. We're not I don't think I'm looking to see that the ramp is moved. I'm just trying to see for sure where it fits.
Right. Because on these plans,
It doesn't show that.
it doesn't show the foundation of the house. All it shows is a blueprint drawing of the size and grade of
Right.
the ramp. It does not show the ramp in
Shows the
front
pitch.
of the existing
Right.
structure. And in that respect, it's incomplete.
So what are you looking for, a cross-section?
Well, it's like,
You'd want a cross-section showing the house,
Yeah,
the foundation, so you need a cross-section.
in other words, seeing it from this
Yeah,
way,
a cross-section,
seeing it like that.
like that. See that part, that first part down there, that's a cross-section.
Where?
That, is a
That?
cross-section. So
But
what
that
you would
doesn't-
want with a cross-section of the foundation with the ramp alongside of it, so you could visualize.
Visualize
Right.
it in terms of how it fits into the whole front lawn in the whole
Right.
design of the house, because we don't,
But that might be new information.
well, it's the same,
It's a
We're not
fine
asking to move
line, I
it.
guess.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about moving it, but
it's not new information, it's just clarification of incomplete
Clarification.
information.
And that's my caution, is just, be
Yes.
be careful about what you're asking for, that it doesn't trend to a discussion of information that hasn't been already discussed during the public hearing. That's, I guess, my definition of new information. If you've already discussed it, then it's okay to ask for
But the issue was
clarification.
discussed, and the answer, in my opinion, was incomplete.
Okay.
It was discussed, the location of the ramp.
So I'd
Nancy
say
here
then
asked
make
the same
a,
question, and
make
again,
a,
the
make a
answer
list
was
of the
not-
information that you'd
We
like.
did not think the answer was complete.
well, it wouldn't be new information, but I think your best bet, so all I could see, I mean, I could visualize it, because I'm a builder. But the best thing is, there's one page missing, and you probably would want the cross-section of the front of the house with the foundation, the height of the foundation, and show how the ramp looks coming alongside that. For instance, say this is the foundation,
Right,
you want to
right.
see that. Now, I don't know if that's going to be new, it probably isn't new information, because we're not changing the ramp.
Right.
So maybe that's something we'd have to ask the applicant, if they'll have their architect, just do a cross-section,
Of the
Of the
front ramp, or of both of the ramps?
probably both, no? Or no, the front
no,
one.
the front ramp.
Front
Front
one,
ramp,
the
really.
front ramp.
The cross-section of the
You know,
front?
I've spent a lot of time staring at the front of this house myself, walking by and staring at it, and so, I mean, but,
I go by about 60.
Yeah.
I walk,
I was
I
gonna
walk.
say, I hope you walk, because you can't do it in the car.
no, I don't, but,
But is that okay? I mean, I understand what everybody, I mean, you know, it's, but a cross-section, I think, would make everybody happier. And probably even the public if they saw it, but at least, you know, we're doing something. But the thing of it is, it's something that it's
so is
tough.
this not, is it possible to say that one would give an approval that said that the cross-section, the the location of the ramp and the cross-section is, I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to do it without,
Okay.
I don't want to
Well,
push
why don't we-
anybody,
why don't
I don't
we
want to
put-
push
is-
anybody
no.
into making a
Built as
decision.
designed?
Put
Built
the,
as
we need a
designed?
cross-section of the ramp facing at the front level of the house, would it be?
Front elevation?
Front elevation, cross-section of the front elevation, a cross-section of the ramp on the front elevation of the property,
So that it shows the whole
In-
front of the property,
in conjunction with the house.
yes.
No, not the whole front, you just wanna see that picture you have
The
the house?
area of the
Yeah,
ramp.
Yeah, you just wanna see, like I'm saying, say for instance, the architect would, it wouldn't be a picture, but the architect could draw, see this height? See how you're looking at it like
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay, so he'll draw a cross-section showing the ramp going right alongside this
how
thing.
much higher-
So you'll
how does it
know.
look
No,
next to
no,
the?
no, we want to see the facade of the house.
Right,
We
right,
wanna
that's what I'm
see-
saying.
Yeah.
We want to see the front lawn of the house
Oh,
as much as possible.
well, that's gonna be a drawing.
It's a-
That's gonna be a rendering then.
So,
It is a rendering.
it is a
I
rendering.
think you're right.
It is a rendering,
Cross-section was,
basically a rendering of the.
I don't know if we could ask for that. The cross-section we probably could get away with.
what
Be easier to just take a look at it in person.
did that? I mean, but anyway, what we're saying is if we go and
Is it
say,
staked, I'm sorry, is it staked out? I don't mean to- is it
No.
staked- It's not staked out, the ramp?
You can't ask that
It's
now.
not, okay. Sorry.
no, no,
It's drawn in detail in architecture drawings. I mean, this is the professional architecture drawings. This is showing it from the front view, you know. That's what he gave me. He's not gonna,
But see, from the beginning, they were asking how it looks alongside the house.
how does it look next to the house?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And you know, and things look different.
I can't stay here forever.
Huh?
I can't stay here forever.
You can stay here till we're done.
Well, let's get done.
You're not leaving
Let's
till
get
we
done.
figure out what we're gonna do. I mean, I don't want to do something that,
Puts the commission in jeopardy.
thank you.
Let me just say that, but I'm already
It
saying too
happened
much.
before, I did it before, I think, not this. Anyway,
Why don't someone write down what we're asking for so we could get, like this gentleman says he's gotta leave. So why don't we write down the list? Go number one, you wanna know the dimensions on the sign. Because we could put it as a condition for Mark and his staff to make sure that this all gets done. We don't need a
With
plan,
respect to
right?
the sign, I mean, I
Mark.
don't have a problem with the
I
sign.
don't have a problem with-
Conditional-
We don't need
In
a
fact, we
bond.
can, I mean, you
We don't
can't
need a bond.
parse out the application, but the sign, you know, to be no more than 3 by 2, which is, I think.
What you said.
you're saying, right. And so as long as it doesn't exceed that, we'll say not to exceed 3 by 2.
it can't exceed 3 by 2 anyway because of the town regulations.
Right, if it's smaller than that, is it going to be 3 by 2, or is it? 2 by 3, so, right, so
Yeah.
that's fine. It is going to be at the regulation, so that it's 2 by 3.
Well, there's a regulation, you can't.
Yes,
It
it's
can't
the
be
town's
bigger
regulation.
than that, but it's
Can't be
gonna
bigger
two-
than that.
It's going to be
Right.
2 by 3.
Okay, put that in the condition, it can't be any larger.
Right, well, that's, no,
But we
that's,
don't even have to, they have to meet the town regulations.
that's fine. The question is if it was smaller, I just wanted to know that, so that's not.
Okay,
that
so
answers that
that's
question.
out.
Right.
So what's your next thing?
Well, I mean, the side ramp, I think, is there an issue?
I don't have any issue with the side ramp.
Right,
No.
there's no issue with the side
No,
ramp.
it's the front, and that's what everybody's concern was, the front.
And what you're asking is really a way for us to see how it's going to look in the whole context of the house. Not this is a design that says here, there's that way it looks there, and that's what it looks like there. But but here's this little thing that says the door's gonna go on this picture, and that doesn't really help us see. But the architect has designed this to fit into that, we think.
So have them show it.
Yeah, it's just,
Well, we could approve subject to obtaining that.
I
And
think
then-
we
Right, and
can.
that was my original point.
I think
is
we
to
can,
consider
but I
making
don't
them
want anyone to
conditions of
feel
approval.
uncomfortable.
But
I'm
then,
looking
wait,
at,
sorry, but then, and if we receive it and it's not acceptable, then where are we?
She doesn't get a CO.
no,
No, that's not
it's
because,
before that. In theory, our approval has to happen before they can start to do things.
Right.
Not a CO, a building, a
Building permit.
building permit.
Well, I don't know, we have to feel comfortable with the staff. I mean, all the stuff we mark down, just gotta make sure that planning and zoning enforces it.
If the issue is that you don't like the location of the ramp, is that the issue?
Primarily.
no, I would, well, I mean, I'm not saying how to vote, but I think that I recognize the necessity, for them, and, so subject to doing what we can to keep it in adherence with the historic district, I think with subject to certain conditions.
Yeah, we're not questioning the necessity of it.
Right,
No.
right.
We're just,
Well,
how
there
it-
there
The aesthetics
was,
of
there
it.
was a question that came up during the whole discussion
The
of someone
aesthetics.
saying, we could say no.
Right.
And but that's not what people are talking
Right, so
about.
I guess that, right, so what we're looking for is, the ramp is a necessity, and we want to.
Mitigate its impact on the
minimize-
historic,
Correct. Minimize, so we want to approve a ramp that it has a minimal impact on the historic appearance.
Perfect.
and so, yes, and so we want to have something that makes us believe that this does that.
Right. I mean, if you have a suggestion on conditional approval, we'll listen to you, because that's because that would then keep it moving quicker.
Well, landscaping was one detail,
Right, and the
was that
landscaping,
not?
right. Absolutely, and that's part of our application, I believe, is that landscaping keeping, and so we would do it conditional upon, I
Right.
think that's certainly gonna be in there, that the
Okay.
landscaping would be used to, not, I guess, hide, I mean, just, to,
embellish.
The question was the design of the railing, really, because
I think,
nothing else is really changeable. But I thought the design of railing, you might have an opinion on.
I think the design of the rail, I mean, I don't.
We were
have-
okay with the
I-
railing.
Yeah, I don't have an
We're-
issue.
we're-
Everyone was
we're
okay with the
accepting
railing.
design of the railing because it's
Necessity.
what's required.
Right.
I mean, if it wasn't required, we would probably have a comment on it,
Right.
but we're granting that it is
Because
a
the
requirement.
idea of a double railing would just
Doesn't
look
make-
weird.
No.
That's-
Yeah,
Right.
we have the decorative one and then we have the one that's required,
So
that's
we're
just.
trying, right, I think we're trying very hard to get to,
So what are you thinking, like shrubbery?
I mean, can you say 75% is covered by landscaping or something? I don't know.
I mean, that's,
Well,
It would
it's
be-
a-
it- it
it's
may
a
be
point.
just
You could put a metric on it in
maybe
terms
just
of
the-
a percentage.
Shrubbery or some kind of landscaping on the part that faces the road.
Well, the point is, you don't want a ramp with a whole lot of bushes along the front of it
No.
and nothing else. What you want is landscaping
Right.
that makes the whole thing fit together. And so there would be something there and something that maybe links in plantings on the other side of where there's a
Right.
nook created where it goes up to the house, and that there will be a landscaping plan that, damn, I can't remember words anymore, it's that old lady thing.
And it could be, and you mentioned that shrubbery loses its foliage in the summer, so it could be, you could specify a mixture of, I don't know, evergreens that have a year-round cover and that they
Holly.
do provide an aesthetic
But we want something
covering
that makes the,
during the year, during the whole
that makes the
year.
ramp fit into the landscape of the house.
Did you already have an idea what you were going to plant, and then that would answer the question if you hadn't thought that far? Okay.
I would put it in front, and,
Right.
you know, it wouldn't.
Yeah,
But are
but,
you thinking like a row of,
Front along, you know, along.
right, but there would be a landscaping, it's not a landscaping plan just for the ramp. It's a landscaping plan for the front of the property that mitigates the impact of the ramp.
The ramp to the house, you know, maybe you have like a bird bath and some flowers around it, and then you have the shrubbery, you know, like you have a whole area to landscape it.
Right.
And it would blend, and it wouldn't just be sitting out in the store.
driveway there already?
The driveway is,
It is the quicker way
the driveway is below where the ramp is going to be.
Right.
It goes, am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah, it
The
has to
driveway
be if we're gonna
curves,
be-
yeah, so the landscaping is between the driveway and the ramp and the house, all around in there.
Could there be something like, even in combination with a short fence of some kind? No?
does that
You
answer?
looked at me.
No fence.
Wait, does that answer the question? Is the reason the ramp, that it ends where it ends because as that horseshoe driveway goes, is it the drop-off place is to be at like kind of the top, the head of, yeah, the crest of the horseshoe? Is that what?
Yes, because the grade drops with the horseshoe.
Right.
So,
Then you're downhill.
Yeah, see, because this shows the driveway on here, okay?
Right.
So the driveway is here, and so you're doing the easiest way to get,
really doesn't show the driveway.
this says driveway, that's
Yeah,
what
well,
I'm
it's just
going
yeah,
with.
it's not a, right, it's not,
So the driveway is there, like that.
Yeah, so
right. so
There's the
there-
driveway.
this, right here is the ridge, that's where the bottom of the door is gonna be. So the ramp's coming up to here and coming out straight.
Makes sense.
This is the, you know. this
That's
is
the
floor
L,
of
so,
it.
so
That's
bring
this.
bring this yellow over
Can't,
here,
no,
yeah.
I can't draw well.
No, but so this is
So,
gonna
all
come
right,
here to
so it
there.
goes like that and out to there, like that. So the shrubbery,
This is the height of it, right there.
right, and the doorway, okay.
How many feet are we looking, this is it's like the, for the incline.
This was 30,
No, that's the length, I'm saying the incline.
Well,
No,
that's
It's not
it's
30.
30 from here to here, because that's why you know how far you have to go. You have to do an inch per foot. I mean, a foot per inch, so.
30 inches. So 30 inches
inches
above the
here.
ground at the house, right, and then 30
And we were
feet
gonna
there.
bring it up a little bit, at least
Mm-hmm.
4, because that changes the railing requirement.
So it's almost 3 feet where it gets into the house.
It'll be brought up to be only 30-inch.
Yep.
So we got 2.5 feet for the height of the ramp, right?
That's where it goes, enters the house. That's the height when it enters the house.
but you know, if
Right.
you look at this here,
Yeah, yeah, no,
see
you're
where
good.
this is, it's further up here, isn't it?
It's all the way up.
It's further up here. If you look at where this is, see this, see the stairway?
Front door.
I do it.
It's like that.
It's, you know,
It's gotta go further down.
Yeah, because it's only 6 feet, or is it, where's the, on the side, what's the dimension from
On this
the
says
L?
20. Let me see, finish square.
so you have the 5-foot
21.
landing, then it goes down 10, and then you have a landing.
So 6 and 10 and 5 is 21 feet is the whole length.
21
And
feet
24
out from
feet.
the house.
21 up.
But how is it then how does that make sense? Because it can't be lining with those steps, that's not 21 feet
It's not lining with the
out.
steps, it's ending at the driveway here.
So then
But see,
look at
see
that long
that, see
there.
where those steps are there?
Yeah, it's not ending there, it's ending here.
No, we mean, but that's not, it's not 21 feet from that part of the house to
It's saying,
those
this is
steps.
21 feet here, and this is
Yeah, it says
24
21
feet.
right here, 21, it's gonna come out 21 feet.
That's what it says.
24 plus 6 plus,
Oh, plus 6, 24 plus 6, so that's
Okay, so it'd be
30.
6, so
30.
15 feet, so that would be, right, and then it would only be 15 feet to this
and
corner.
6
Ah.
and
This
10
corner would be 15 feet.
and 5. So this is
Yeah, she seems like.
6 and 10.
6,
Right,
okay,
so
yeah.
15 feet for the other side of the ramp to the stairs.
15 feet.
It's 24.
From here.
It says 24, that's all I'm going by
Yeah,
here.
but you take, but the,
Yeah,
I'm
this
saying
is,
the
this is
inside
6,
portion of that.
this
of
is
that.
6, this
Right.
is 10, and this is 5.
Right, so I'm saying if you take this line, the inside line would be at 15 feet.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
that's my point.
Okay, got it, thank you.
No problem. Are you with me, Ron?
Yeah, no, but it's still
Yeah.
20.
It's
This-
20, the
this section-
outside
This
is-
section here is 24 feet.
Yeah, length, and I'm saying that, so this,
But from
where
here
it
to-
ends here, it's only 15
Oh,
feet
oh,
from here to
right.
there, and that's what, so coming out from the house, it's 15
Right.
plus 6.
So there
21
still
feet.
is in front of the house, the curved driveway, grass over here, the flagpole, right? Isn't there a flagpole there? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what's that picture?
This is a bird's eye view, but, so you can't really see, this is the U. That's like where the flagpole is.
So it's like here.
It's hard, yeah.
You see, now that's a much better picture.
Well, not really, because these are all trees kind of.
Well, I know, but even so,
So this is where the ramp's gonna be, right here?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so you already have an idea.
Well, see, and see this picture she's just given us?
Yeah.
See, that's the, all right, here's the driveway. It's gotta be inside. all right,
Here's the driveway.
Here's the driveway. It's right in here is where the ramp is.
Right.
It's not in front of the
It's not in
house.
the front, no.
Right.
it's
Well, that's what I
on the
thought.
side.
But
Yes.
You know, I tried to draw it on the side, and then I gave up, because I can't draw it well.
Well, that's
And it
what,
sits back.
that's
makes
what,
a big difference.
that's
No,
what
this
your
sits back.
architect
This
should
is
have
where-
done.
Yeah.
Well, please, it's been months and months of trying to get something, so this, you know.
Again,
sits
this
back
is
pretty
another,
far, so
yeah.
here,
See, we have all this in front of the house,
Right.
and the ramp is just over here, which is,
the ramp is about here to here.
Perfect.
I can't see wanting it any other place.
No.
That's my point.
No, it's got, no, it has to be.
So
That's
then our
understandable.
conditions would be simply relating to landscaping that fits into the front of the house and mitigates the impact, the visual impact of the,
Right.
And you like the black railing.
And the black
Yeah.
railing.
yes,
And
I
maybe-
definitely
maybe
like the
even,
black.
You know, planting an island down here.
Well, there
too.
is, see
There's a
this,
flagpole.
there's a flagpole
And it had some,
right there,
yeah, it's hard to tell.
but you could do more landscaping. All right.
Okay.
All right,
Okay, make a motion to approve the application as.
Oh, wait a minute, you can't. Do I have to take my motion?
you
back?
did, you withdrew it.
Okay.
The first one was, this is a new motion,
Okay.
motion 2.
Approve
Okay.
the application, subject to the following conditions.
Subject to what?
The following conditions.
Oh, okay.
And feel free to contribute. I'm opening the door. Landscaping will be
Yes,
used
well,
to.
a detailed.
Appropriate
A
landscaping,
detailed landscaping plan.
Plan, be submitted to the planning and zoning office?
yes. Appropriate landscaping with a plan to be submitted to the,
Planning and zoning office.
to be submitted,
To minimize the impact
yes,
of the appearance of the
to P and Z, to minimize the impact, visual, can I say visual?
Yes,
Visual
impact
impact of the ramp.
From
From
the,
the street
right,
view,
from the road.
Right,
from the street view.
right.
Anything else?
Wait a minute, what did we say?
Approving this subject to the following conditions. An appropriate landscaping plan will be submitted to the Planning and Zoning Office that minimizes the visual impact of the ramp from the street view.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else?
Black railing.
Oh, she already agreed to the black railing.
Well, I know, but we should write it
Okay.
down.
Down.
Black railing.
Black railing on the ramp. Anything else?
Sign dimensions?
No, we don't
because
care about
it's
the-
gonna
No,
be the-
Not a
it's gonna
sign.
be the max-
we've worked that out.
The sign's done.
The sign is going to be the
Sign.
The
message.
sign is gonna be the sign, the sign's gonna
Gonna be
be,
the sign.
and the sign is also gonna be black,
Black,
post, yes,
post.
yes. All right, that was Nancy's motion, are you seconding it?
I'll second it.
Where is Day on the night when I needed to be taking minutes?
You don't have the tape recorder anymore, huh?
We're on television,
We're
I
on-
understand.
We're on video.
We're on video. Second,
The legislative process at work.
All right? How's that?
all right. Do we have any other discussion? Motion made,
Second?
seconded,
All in
with the
favor?
conditions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed. So 4 ayes and 1 no,
Yep,
Motion carries.
the motion carries.
just to be contrary.
Well, do we have any, we have no other business to consider?
Motion to adjourn?
Well, how about the next house?
Second, seconding the motion to adjourn?
Second,
Second.
We're adjourned.
all in favor? Aye.
You don't need to vote for a motion to adjourn.
The Hilton House. They want to go and become a law office.
Thank you.
Thank you.